Welcome to the Coffee with Karen podcast, a weekly chat show discussing everything from holistic health to current affairs from a mental, physical, and spiritual perspective. Get your weekly cup of positivity with a sprinkling of woo-woo.
Cool. So we are live with today's version of A Coffee with Karen. So today is how to use your intuitive skills so that you can align your life and your business on purpose. So every week I interview a variety of coaches, consultants, therapists, or healers, because that title really doesn't give you enough information, because everybody is serving a different segment of society. They're all solving completely different problems, and they've all got different tools in their toolbox. So your host, my name's Karen Roberts. So we provide a platform for coaches and healers to get their message heard. So we have Midwave radio station, we have our podcast network, Raising Vibrations. We're going for changing the world one vibration at a time. So if you've got a message that wants to get heard and you think that by this method of having your own show or hosting your own podcast can actually grow your audience, build influence within that audience, then get in touch with KarenRobertsCoaching.com. So today's guest, we have Elona. Well, Elona, would you like to share with the listeners a little bit about who you are and what you do, first of all?
Yeah, Karen, thank you so much for having me here. I love your platform. Thanks so much for creating the space to really have amazing conversations. I also highly agree that we all very authentic and unique in our life experience. And we do bring that to the table, which is so authentic, and it differentiates us from someone else. There's no two coaches alike, no two people alike. So having said that, I started I'm natively Albanian. I came in the US when I was 15. For a better opportunity. That's why my parents came here as one of the oldest kids of the three siblings. And I had to grow up so fast. I had to get my first couple of jobs, to have my parents pay the bills and all of that. I followed the my culture's tradition career path. I got my degree, climbed the corporate ladder, had my kids, married young, all that good stuff. And I started to feel like, okay, I have the success that I thought, on the external, that it was preached to me or was modeled to me, but I wasn't feeling very fulfilled on the inside. So that's kind of when I made the shift to entrepreneurship. My company happened to be purchased by another company in the retail industry. I did various roles there, from HR, human resource, marketing, sales. I was an executive leader before I actually I shouldn't say I made the pivot yet. I did it in a very practical way, where I started my business while I was still working. So I grew my business for 2 years before I actually made the move to full-time entrepreneurship. And it really stemmed because I wanted to grow a purpose-driven company, because the company I worked for was purpose-driven for so many years, but it turned to become a profit-driven culture. So that's where I saw that there was no more future there, and everyone was seen like numbers rather than human beings that contribute and, that grow together with a company. So I said, that's where my intuitive journeys began. I would say began very early on when I was a child, but it's when I realized, I became more aware that I had to listen to that inner voice that kept telling me, make the leap, make the leap. This is no longer fitting you. This is no longer serving you. I wasn't sure what I needed to do. A lot of insecurity, a lot of anxiety, a lot of that transitional period was very filled with a lot of fear and doubt. But slowly but surely, as I start taking the leap, a step into the leap of faith, and started to, build things slowly, I realized that I should have done it a long time ago. I shouldn't have let fear kind of stop me in my tracks, and I should have listened to that inner voice that told me that you need to change direction now. It's time.
Love that. But a lot of people do feel those same feelings, right? Because we are brought up, doesn't matter where you're from, really, right? We're brought up to believe that, you go to school, you go to college, whatever, you go to uni, you study, you get a job, and that job is for life, which there's no security in anything. So making that jump, I get it. You know, for a lot of people, that can be a scary transition. And for some looking in, I mean, 2 years is a long time, right? But the way I see it, the time is going to pass anyway. So those 2 years, you could have just carried on in your job without laying the stepping stones, getting ready to actually take that leap. But what would you say to people that maybe do have an idea, but we are so conditioned to not listen to that inner voice because, people have got bills to pay, you've got a mortgage or rent on, you've got bills. And so for some people, even though they have this idea, to actually take that step, because in their minds, their perception is that job offers safety, right?
Yes.
We know it's not necessarily safe, but the perception of it is safety. So what would you say to people who may have an idea of what they want to achieve that is in alignment with their purpose? Where do they get to actually take that step?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I would tell myself now looking back is just start. Keep what you have. Don't make any rush decisions unless you have to. Sometimes that decision is made involuntarily for you. So you have to make the leap. That's a little bit easier and scarier at the same time. But I do find that that's easier because it's like, okay, decision made. Now I have no other choice. I have to burn the boats and I have to do it. I think that's actually when we're the most motivated and we actually make the biggest leap because we have to, right? But in the other end, depending on where everyone is, just start with something, put out some content. Just, if you have a desire, if you have something that you want to share with the world, just start creating some content, and start, get some traction out there, build, get some people around you, people that resonate with your message. If you feel pulled, I wish I would have done that. I wanted to do it the proper way because I had to get over a lot of perfectionistic tendencies, but I just start messy. Just make a video, just, post something on your social media. It's okay if just your mom and your sister and your brother would watch it first, right? It's okay. That's how we all grow. But the more you put yourself out there, the more your message and your vision starts to clear. So let's say that you have a hobby or something that you always wanted to do that was in your heart. Just start with something and see where that leads you. I would say that at those beginning phases, if you don't have to make a leap, just keep what you have going on because this other side is going to take time to grow. Just like anything, you're planting in seeds and you'll start exploring yourself in the journey. I find that my business, my journey has evolved over and over these 5 years that I've been an entrepreneur. Wherever my message started with is not really, no longer the same message today because you grow, you evolve, you realize how you want to help, who you want to help, how do you add more value, what aligns with you. Some of the things that might have aligned with me 3 years ago no longer align because I've already moved on.
Yeah.
I'm in a different space. My vision is cleared in a different way. And stay adaptable, stay open, stay curious. That's the other thing I tell people.
And that is the thing, like you just said, things change, you change, which is what you want, right? The actual what we're all wanting is actually the change into a different person, which means, plans, they're not written in stone, although we need a goal, right? We need a goal in the beginning. But what I found interesting there is what you just said about doing it the right. Is there a right way, Elona? Is there a right way? I mean, what I see, I get it. I can remember the burning the boats scenario. So I was following Bob Proctor many, many, many years. Oh my goodness. So my daughter, who is 18 now, I was 7 months pregnant with her. So we're going back quite a way, right? And so I was listening to Bob, and he is specifically talked about burning the boats. You've got to burn the boats, right? You've got a goal. And so I was 7 months pregnant and a 4-year-old daughter, and we made this decision to move from London to the Algarve in Portugal. And it was like, we haven't really got a plan, but we're just going to do what we do and something will happen. I wouldn't advise that option.
Go with the flow.
Like, well, Bob said, burn the boats, right? We definitely burned the boat. We had to get on a boat and then drive all the way down to Portugal. And we soon realised that we came from the fitness industry, right? So we just really thought we could teach here, there, and everywhere, like we do in London. Except the Algarve is a village, really. Very, 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 very different. And I can remember we were talking to one of Bob's coaches, which now I realise, somebody on the sales team trying to upsell us into a coaching program. And at the time, so this was before the film The Secret was released, it originally was going to be a documentary in Australia. And we were told Bob was going to be one of the teachers. So I said, oh, well, I've pre-ordered it. And I said to the coach, whose name was Bob, but it wasn't the Bob. And I said, well, we've ordered the film. He gave me the best piece of advice I think I've ever had, which at the time I thought, you were crazy. He said to me, there's so much depth to that film. Watch it twice a day for a month. Now, at the time, I thought, you are mad. I've never watched anything 60 times, especially a film that is 2 to 3 hours long. But we did it. And we did create what I had actually previously written down, weirdly enough, 3 years previously, as my goal of owning our own fitness studio. And I do put everything on. We would not have done it if I hadn't listened to his advice. So although it was a scary place of burn the boats, we got what we wanted out of that. So it's a weird, it's not like I wouldn't advise anybody to do it that way. However, like you said, sometimes when it's forced upon you, you have to make good, right? You've got to survive. We were in a country that wasn't our own. We've got to make it. I've got kids now.
Absolutely. That was my parents' story, which is what I saw, because the decision was made for them in a way or another based on their personal story. So they had to make it, and they rebuilt, everything from scratch. But going back to what you were saying, you were just programming your subconscious mind with all the things that you want, right? And Bob is big on that, right? I mean, there's so many layers of depth into our transformation, right? So, I made a post about that today. That's really funny how we have the conversation, because nothing is actually by chance. Everything is in synchrony, always working around us, for us, right? But I talked about that I work with leaders at all different levels. I work with businesses at all different levels throughout my career. And I found that the ones that are the most fulfilled and the happiest, and also have the outside success that maybe, people, let's say, admire, because I feel success has to be internally aligned. They make their transformation, the journey of their transformation, of the becoming of the person that they want to be, a priority. And then, of course, every other thing around them that they want to have in a material way always, eventually manifest around you, because now you have become that person that can attract a lot of that. So I know that's a lot what Bob, has taught in his teachings, because he's now passed away, but left a legacy behind, right? That's his legacy. But yeah, I mean, that's really what it becomes about. And also for me, because I've made my personal development my biggest priority, I want to see who I am, what I'm capable of doing, all the potential that I have on the outside. And of course, my business growth is always going to mirror that, because especially when you have a business and you're a business owner, you are the captain of the ship. Your brain, your body, mind, and soul, the way that you have aligned everything, in one, is what makes the decisions of what strategic moves to make, who you want to reach, how do you grow the business, how do you implement systems, how do you get the right people around you that buy into your vision, whether they're clients or whether they're your audience or whether they're your team, right? Because in order to build a legacy business, and that's what I love to help people with, is you have to have all those components around you. But you are the captain of the ship. You're the visionary. You are the leader. you're the one that is going to drive your business forward and drive the projects that you have going on forward. So it's your job to go internally. I mean, the more successful on the outside, the bigger the impact, the bigger the income, the more within you have to go. It's like that equation that flips on the upside
Love
down.
that. Love that. It all starts with the inner work. It all starts with the inner work. Otherwise, you might have the success on the outside, but you might be unhappy. You might be surgically attached to your phone. You might
Toxicity. Poor relationships. That's what I found is a secret to happiness and fulfillment is the people around you, the healthy relationships you have first with yourself, and then with the people that surround you, your family, your kids, your audience, the people that know you. It's pretty much about the impact you want to make, but you can't make that impact if you have not done the inner work to heal those parts of you that need healing, so that you can show up in your fullest authentic self, in your light, is what I say, because our light is very individual. We're all born for different reasons and different things, and the more you unravel layers as you transform yourself and you do the inner work, it's like I find it just like undressing yourself, like you're taking out layers from your journey, your life, your programming, your beliefs, your fears, a lot of that stuff, so that you just become like this naked person. And now that's the core, that's your identity. And now you get to be the person that's rebuilding yourself slowly. Be careful who you're feeding your mind with. So you're doing everything. So pretty much you unravel everything. I don't think we can ever get to that level, but we're trying. And then you kind of get to intentionally pick your values, pick the things you want to do, drive the vision forward, but you get to purposely and intentionally do that then. But you can't do that process if there's so much other stuff happening, because you just can't, it's like a mess, in a house. When there's like a mess, it's like, where do I start? It's too many components. But if you do just one thing at a time, then that's why all over social media, there's always like, well, don't compare, your journey to other people's. And it's so true, right? Because you are going within, as long as you are improving, I say 1 millimeter improvement daily or 2 millimeter, that's what's going to be the journey towards your transformation. And your journey is so authentic. So why am I comparing it to Karen? She has a completely different experience. She has a completely different life. Even businesses, we do it all the time. Well, she has a successful business. What am I doing? I don't have that. Well, let's see. There's so many layers under that. And that's funny because a lot of business owners come for business growth, and they find that a lot of the work is the deeper work that they have to do. That's why I went and got trained on other modalities such as EMDR, NLP, and all these good stuff, because these are all tools that I found that I could teach you all the strategies. I know, I'm very business minded. I'm very logical. We could do, damage with the business side, but if that's what's holding you back, it's got to all come together. That's why now my work has become about life and business alignment on purpose, to growing a legacy business as big as you want to, while you are transforming along the way, and have that roadmap that most entrepreneurs are missing.
Love that. And it is, because everybody's got to go with more of a holistic approach. Because like you say, you can have strategies and things to get you there, but if you don't sort out this, this stuff, the mindset stuff, because again, we are so conditioned to go through life in a certain way and do things in a certain way. And so many people, I mean, I don't know about you, but whether you've seen a massive change since, the madness that's gone on in the last 3 years, where people have been maybe forced to stay at home, and they've maybe thought about, actually, do they even want to go back to that actual job that they got when they were 20, because they thought they should do it because they had bills to pay and they had all this, and they're not on purpose. I do see it as awful as it's been. I do see it as actually a lot of good can come out of it, because people are starting to think like, yeah, do I want to go back to that? Actually, what I really want to do is this. Right? Have you seen a big change in the last 3 years?
It's that involuntary that we were talking about. I find that's easier. And for human beings, we need, we're forced to change when that happens. So I think COVID did the same thing, just like maybe, a job is taken away from you and you're like jobless. And now you have to figure out like what else you want to do. Right. So that's easier. I think with COVID, it's the same way. It's that involuntary confinement in a way, so that you are looking at yourself, you're looking at the people around you, because in this go go go, I mean, how many stories did we hear about, like, people's like, I'm just getting to know my family, I'm just
Yeah.
getting to know like the kids, I'm just getting to know my mom because she's always like out, and my dad. So in a way it brought, it's just like in an airplane. I find this very fascinating. I talk about it all the time. Why do the best creativity ideas come in like a confined space? Because you have no distraction. So your
Ah,
mind is going to those deeper levels that are always there, but because of our day-to-day hustle, we get distracted. We can never get that chance to go in deeper and sit with ourselves so that we get the most brilliant ideas. That's why we had the most creative projects start after COVID.
ah,
People picking up, building new platforms, the leaders that are, continuing to, grow today. That was the period where it all birthed, and now we'll see the evolution of that, right? That's
ah.
why, because that's why meditation, a lot of different tools that we use have to be purposely built into our day to day, because when you have time to sit with yourself and creatively think, you will amaze yourself how
Ah,
much stuff is
hun-
coming out from underneath, and it's the
100%.
answers are all there.
They are. Because you know them. It's you have the answers within you. I love that. I call it my what do I say? I say I'm practicing my unthinking. The moment I shut up, because I talk a lot. Once I shush and once I quieten my mind, and yeah, I 100% agree. That's when when they have your aha moments, and that's when you're more productive. Prior to that, I could be like, right, I've got today to do this, this, and this, and the day goes by, you get distracted, and you haven't really got that much done. Whereas when I do that consciously, obviously it takes effort. So, I've got to discipline myself to shush and shush. Then the stuff comes through. And then when I do go to work, it's like, boom, I've just done it all in a day. It's just like so productive. I love that. It's interesting. You mention that because what I have said is I realized how wrong I was getting it because I was following people like Bob and whoever, a lot of those from that sort of self-development arena where it was always about thoughts, manifest through actions and behaviors. Your actions and behaviors get you your results. And I realized more recently that no, actually that's wrong. It's actually when we stop thinking.
Mm,
When
that
our
we
inner knowing comes up.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to control the thoughts. So it's really interesting you just said that right there, because 100% agree. It's in those moments of no thought, the answers come.
Yeah, I'm glad I held that mirror for you and held the space, because that's kind of what we do, right? I mean, that's why these platforms are amazing, and I want to congratulate you. And I do the same with my show, where we're holding the space to just like bounce back ideas, bounce back concepts, principles, things that sometimes we not even have the articulation yet of what's happening, but we know it's working. It's like, that's how I am, efficient, productive, and all of that. But that is exactly what I've learned. That's why you have to intentionally build in thinking time. Like
Ugh,
thinking time, like have books all over, wherever you can. And there's definitely great value in vision boards and vision casting and all of that. And you should have that direction. But I don't think that pushing that, like constantly like drilling yourself with that daily, it's not even an organic process, because you're like, oh my gosh, I have to repeat that today, whatever your affirmation is. I get it, affirmations here and there are great, but I don't think they're so practical in the day to day. But you sitting in with intention and in your thinking time, once you get that next step that is so clear for you, that's going to move you forward, your life and business forward, then I say plug it in your calendar, because that is the intentional next step that you need to take, that's going to move you further along than all the busy work that you've been doing on not on intention and
Yeah.
while you're unconscious. That
Oh,
thing is going to move you like steps, leaps.
100%.
And on
I
the other
could
side,
be
you're gonna be like, what is she doing? Where did she get that? All of that came through her inner, inner intuition and her inner stuff. That's why I'm writing my third book, Karen, on conscious entrepreneurship. And I talk
love
about all these concepts, as well as my framework of branding, marketing, sales, systems, and team, what every company needs to grow, but how to do this consciously. So you are building a purpose-driven company that aligns with you, but also makes the most impact and income, because that's where you're fire. You just then need to know how to create value, and everything is going to start to streamline with one another. So you don't feel like you're going to have that one main personal brand. And that's where you're going to stay within your zone of genius, and you're not going to confuse your audience. You're going to grow your audience, but your message becomes so organic. Even your content becomes very intuitive, because you're like in the flow. That only comes that comes from your experience. That only comes from you. And that's where I think you have the most highest vibe to attract the right people in your audience. And that's where your energy, we always talk about energy, it's your vibe attracts your tribe. That's where your energy is elevated, because now all those components are in you, and now you have that inner compass that is always guiding you. And when the world goes crazy, we have to do the do, but we also have to also learn how to be with ourselves. So when you combine the two, I say you're a badass. You're a
magic.
powerhouse. You're in your own zone of genius, is why you were created anyway.
And it's there for everyone, right? I mean, it's funny you just saying, what was it I was going to pick up on? Yes, it's like, so all these things, like say vision board and trying to sort of get into basically trying too hard. So for instance, when I said to you, we created basically our fitness studio, it was because I was actually, when I had written that goal down 3 years ago, 3 years previous, I was detached from the outcome. I'd actually done it through it was a network marketing, and back then I was rubbish at sales. I didn't want to even do sales. I hated it. Obviously, I wasn't very good at it. And I went on this program, and what I actually wrote down was I want to own my own studio, buy a house, drive a 4x4. Then I detached, because I'm sure they were thinking I was going to be really good in this network marketing company, which I wasn't. But because I was detached from the outcome and I wasn't trying to force it, that's how I think now, looking back, that's how it happened. Because sometimes we can be so emotionally involved with our own projects that we want it, which means we're doing everything actually from a place of lack. So we're trying to almost push it away. That to me seems to be the hardest part for some people to grasp, is having a goal, wanting to do this, but actually becoming detached from the outcome of it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
It's like there's a contradiction. They want this thing, but they really want it. And I've really got to get that next sale. And actually, they're pushing it away as opposed to detach.
Yeah, you have to clarify what your vision is, and it's okay to know that, but you cannot be attached to the result. You have to be more, focused on the day-to-day actions that are intentional that you're taking, and focus on that. And then whenever the result will manifest, it will manifest. Yeah. If you go the other way around, I came for corporate. I was like drilled with results. I was like, oh my gosh, this is not giving me a result. And I came out as an entrepreneur. I'm like, wait, I'm working for a year with nothing to show for it. So like that taught me, I said, I'm doing this the wrong way. I was also into a lot of masculine energy. and it's like do results driven. It's like action driven, all of that. And what I've learned is to be more now in the flow. It's like my security comes from the day-to-day activities that I know I built on purpose in my day-to-day operations of the business that I know are going to give me the results. I have those priorities in mind and I do them, but wherever that's going to manifest, I have to just let it go. I have to let it flow, because every time I get attached to the result, of course, I get disappointed and I don't want to take the action. And then my mindset struggles. Then I'm like, oh, wait, I did that, but I'm not getting, results. So that it's like you're counting every little win, and that's never gonna, and that's not healthy, because you're now letting your emotions go through the roller coaster. I talk about emotions in business, especially as women. I think guys do this much more efficiently, I would say. They don't let their emotions get attached to the results. It's like, okay, so I didn't get that. So like, what else can I do? Like, what else can I do? What else can I do? So don't ever get attached to that. You just keep thinking about problem solving. It's like, okay, so that didn't work, even when we're testing things. So, okay, that didn't work, but now I'm getting a little closer to the thing that will work. So it's like you putting puzzle pieces together. That's my first book, Connecting the Vision, the Dots Backwards. So all we do is like keep connecting those dots. And then eventually, if you connect enough dots, of course, the results are going to manifest as well. But we cannot go on this other side and just be like looking at, a new client, or like the sales, the impact that we're making in that very narrow laser focus. That's why you need a vision. Like as an entrepreneur, you need long-term. You need to look long-term, because whatever action you're taking now is going to manifest 3, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months down the line. And I had to learn that, because I was very like, I'm doing the work, let me see my results. Very
same as that. I was too emotionally involved. I used to be too emotionally involved, and I know, obviously it's easy for us to say looking back, right? And I get that hindsight's a wonderful thing. But what I got from everything that you've said there is one quote that I was taught a long, long, long time ago was, be married to the process, but divorced from the result. And it was like, yes, that's exactly what, as long as you just keep doing without, and what you were saying there was really, because we are women, we're more inclined to get emotionally involved, which actually means that what that's saying to me is that we're creating more stress. And we all know when cortisol is around, we're not going to be creative thinking. We're not going to be thinking long term, because we're in that fight, flight, or freeze mode. So that makes sense to that. If you're going to be too emotionally involved in it, there's going to be too much cortisol. There's going to be a physiological reaction going on in the body, which is not going to help you even think clearly, because you are in this stressed, fight, flight, freeze mode.
Yeah.
Right? So that must be what is going on. It's that's what's it's causing. So what I'm getting from you is to, be detached, not get emotionally involved. Just keep doing what you need to do. If it doesn't come this week, it's going to come next week, because it'll balance out over the month.
That's right. Relax and hold your side to your vision. What are you trying to accomplish long term? Because you are in the works right now of getting there. So that's why I love the process quote that you talked about, because in the process is where the transformation is. So it's like you cannot lose. You're going to transform into that. And of course, the results are going to show up eventually, right? So it's like a situation that it's like win-win. You can't lose in that. Just like, the thing with taking the leap from your full-time job to entrepreneurship. Well, 2 years are going to pass anyway. I'm still going to be miserable. So let me just as well start some wheels turning, and let's see where that lands me. And thank God I did it, because that now is become my full-time mission in life. So that's what it is. focus on the process of transformation and becoming. I think it's the same with our clients, which is why I talk a lot, very, very often, about instant gratification, build your business in 30 days, make $1 million, this positive marketing. My client made $50,000 in a month. I'm like, oh my gosh. Well, are you showing that maybe that client has done so? What does the process look like? Can we talk about that? Because now people are getting crazy with that superficial marketing because you want to attract that client, but there's so much underneath that you are not showing. And now that's why people compare that highlight and like, well, I'm not making 50,000 a month. I must quit. It's not going to work for me.
100%. 100% agree with that.
So we're getting distracted with all this messaging, and don't do it. Go deep. Go talk about the process, and business building is a process. There's no overnight results. You got to go through it.
Well, it can take 10 years, can't it? And I totally agree with what we're saying, and it actually went against my own intuition, if you like, but I still went with it again. And I'm just thinking out quotes now. Again, what came to mind was sell them what they want and give them what they need. So even my group is 6 figures and beyond for coaches, which again doesn't quite connect. But because people want that, we know that, it's going to take a lot of work, right, to get you from where you are now to where you want to be. But to get them in before you can show them that, it was that. So in a way, that was actually counterintuitive, because because I thought, like you just said there about, well, that's 6 figures and beyond. People think they're going to get there instantly, and like you say, that you don't know what went on in the previous 5 years. They could have been building up to that, prepping that, and you don't know the full story. You don't know the full story that, they might have made that much, but they might have had a team of affiliates to pay. They might have had a team of closers to pay. They might have had what's their net profit?
What is the health of the business? It's funny how you say that, because I am a 7-figure business owner now, going for the 8. And for my message, I tested that messaging as well. Build a 7 found pillars to 7 figures, because I already know, I've been there, done that. But obviously, again, we understand the superficial marketing, which I wish is like, it's horrible. I don't like it. I talk about all different fundamentals of marketing, heart-driven marketing, authentic relationships, all of that. That's what marketing should really be about. Education, inspiration, giving value. That's what marketing should really be about. But I did the same thing, and I'm like, this does not resonate with me. I'm not here preaching income. And I changed my message. I'm like, let's talk about the impact, because if you understand how to have impact, I'll teach you how to make the income. It's going to be a byproduct. So I changed the messaging. And ever since I changed that, I am more aligned as the business owner that identifies with that. And I no longer have that in my message, that I will help you to grow from, beginning, if you want to, 0 to 7 figures, because I've done that. Now I have the map. But that message is like, I'm just like blending in with everyone else, like 7 figures. And like, I would just ignore those messages. If I go to Facebook groups, I'm like, someone makes a post about that, I'm like, that's bait. Like, that's superficial bait. Don't do it. Like, I don't resonate with it. So I'm just going to craft my own little journey in the whole, space with in the market. And I'm going to do it my genuine way, even though, and I find that actually the right people resonate with that. And I've had much more success. My business is like boom because of this messaging, because people completely align with purpose-driven. Honestly, we're all purpose-driven entrepreneurs at the end of the day. We want to do work that's meaningful to us. We have a passion, we have a hobby, we have life experience, and now we want to help other people with it. And we want to do more good in the world. It's why we're coaches anyway. So I'm like putting some dots together. I'm like, that's what it is. All of this comes to me in that thinking time. None of this came to me by sitting on Facebook, scrolling down all the superficial marketing of, I made $1 million, join my program. Like, I'm like over that. All of my messaging comes from the internal, which is why I said at the beginning, the go within, what aligns with you. And I understand we have to adapt the messaging to what people want. I get it, but do more of what people need. And then eventually through, other methods of, constant education, inspiration, touch points, and all of that, you'll definitely, have people that resonate with it and will join you for the right reason. I don't want a client to come to me and think they're going to build 7 figures in 6 months.
Yeah.
In a 6-month container working together.
They're going to be trouble, right? They're going to
I'm not attracting because I am very, I'm very responsible. I want to make sure that they come to me, they're going to get results. So I'm also interviewing my clients, right? You don't want to just do, out of luck. I'm like, we're in partnership. If you're going to hire a business coach, a consultant, a strategist is what I call myself. We're in partnership. Partnerships is a 2-way thing. We got to work together, right? So in order to work together and to get to that final, result that you want, I have to be your guide in the process of transformation to get you there. And that's going to be the most valuable part of the investment, which is what I say with business. I don't teach tactics. I'm like, I don't teach like, here's how to do content. Here's how to dance on reels. Like that is like little tiny, tactics. Learn that on YouTube. Open up like how to do a reel and they give you like all the steps. You can do a tutorial. I teach high level strategy. I teach you how to connect it all together, align it all with your message, and then understand how to build your brand on a bigger scale. So,
because that's what it is. Do you not find that a lot of people, the issue is when they're transitioning from this employee mindset to a business owner mindset, they've actually, again, got it wrong. And again, I've been there. Basically, they've just bought themselves a job without the perks, without holiday pay, without this. So they're so full time in their business that they actually can't grow because there's only so many hours in a day, right? Because so many people come into this with this thing, it's going to be them. So for people out there, when they are doing it, what would you say to them to transition them into this, I don't know, what do you want to call it? CEO mindset of, you're going to have to get a team. You're going to need a VA. You're going to need somebody to do this. You're going to need somebody to actually get your business from here to here. You're never going to do it on your own.
That's what I'd say. Save yourself time, headache, and heartache. Save yourself time and money. Align with the right mentor. They have the map. Shorten yourself 5 years out of your life. I tell you, like in 1 year, I could teach people how to build all these frameworks in their business, which took me 5 years to learn between big corporations and small businesses. So what I would say to someone that is just coming out, look more for a full, like a high level person, like someone that will teach you how to put the foundations in place. Don't just like invest in specific types of programs that will just help you do like one thing, because the struggle is people can't connect it, all, and they're ending up working on 20 million things with no strategy, no alignment, no purpose. So because they're taking, nothing wrong with the courses and the trainings and all of that, but I think it's helpful for people. That's kind of what the gap I saw in the market. It's like, okay, people are struggling. They're like doing content here, free content here, going there with no result, and just like having, working 24/7 if they're probably not even sleeping. And I did a lot of that at the beginning as well. So, we solve our own pains as entrepreneurs. We go through that and then we learn, and then we're like, okay, there's a better way to do it. And that's where we get the aha moment, which was why it makes us, we position ourselves differently in the market intuitively, because we've been there, done that. We know it doesn't work. Like even with the courses, right? I am a big believer of more of a transformation. So connect the dots for people. So if you solve a specific problem, like grow their business, and your business is my case. A business, it needs all the different components. I'm not just going to be a marketing coach. I'm not just going to be a branding coach. I don't want you to hire a mindset coach. I don't want you to hire a sales coach. I'm going to give you the high level, because of my experience and skills and also results that I have, the one-stop, shop that you can come to, and then you have everything and you stay laser focused in implementing everything with the right priorities so that you are intentional. You're not working 24 hours a day. Even if you do like 2 priorities on your calendar for that day, believe me, you're moving your company forward. You're working on the right things, and you'll never regret those 2 hours that you're putting in. Even if I shut down my business and I have to do something else, I already know what are my biggest priorities that I will always work on, or have team now that I built to work on, that I could just like move out, and I know the business is going to keep moving forward.
Right.
So,
and that's what people want. That's what they really, really want. They don't. Who wants? Have you ever met anyone that really wants to start a business? They want what they think having a business is going to give them. I mean, it's so funny. But again, I suppose, everybody just does what they can do with the information that they have at that time, and then they're just trying to improve on that as they go. And obviously, some things cost money. Some people don't have the funding in the beginning. You've either got to spend your time or your money, right? There's only the 2 ways you can build a business. And maybe for some, they can maybe spend a little bit more time and less money the others. And it's just finding that bespoke package, I suppose, what is the right thing for the right person, right?
Go to someone that has done it. Go to someone that can teach you the foundation, because I say if you learn how to do it, you can grow any business, because you'll be already part of that experience, and then you have the business education and skills that you need, and then you can turn around and then you can recreate it, because business a lot of times is about duplication. Right. And that's what we want also, right? We want time. We started for flexibility, for freedom, but then we want to know how to duplicate the thing, because we don't want to be the only artist inside our business and know how to do everything. Then you have a really crazy job, right? So in order to do a lot of that, you do need to have someone that could teach you the fundamentals. I would say that's what I saw as a gap, which is what I'm feeling passionately, because I still see it. So, which is great for me, because that's what I do really well. But do that, get the foundations, and the problems change, Karen, because I work with people at different levels now as I built a lot of resources and team and all of that. I mean, don't go create a million offers. That's my other thing. Like, you got to do everything step by step. You have to know what phase and stage that you are in. At the beginning, you have more time, right? And you lack the income. Later on, you have the income, you lack the time. So the problems shifts.
Yeah. Well, different strategies are going to come in when you get to different levels. The strategies you're going to use when you're there are going to be different to what you started with there, right? Or depending on, again, I suppose it's all about this balance of time versus money, where you're at in your business, where you can go to that next level to free up the time. And it's just this journey, isn't it? It's just
juggle problems. It's all good problems to have. First, at the beginning, you have income problems, cash flow problems. No one knows you. Marketing problems, branding problems. You grow a brand. People know you. But we see all the big brands. People know you. So with that, it's easier. You leverage all of that. And then, of course, you create more, you create more income, because now you know how to do it. And then you have to worry about time. So now you have to work on a different business models of how to set up a lot of automations, a lot of systems in place, and all of that. So you can start eventually to move out. You maybe franchise, you bring other people, you have a sales force. I mean, there's so many ways that you can do it, but that's it. You just have different problems at different levels.
People need to realize, anybody out there that, you're starting and you're on a one-man band, just remember, it's not going to continually be like that. You want to have the more time and have the more income, because it's not just about your income. When people say to me, they want to get that much, it's like, is that gross or net, man? Because there's a big difference, right? So to grow, know that, have you ever met anybody that can really, honestly, hand on heart, say they did it by themselves?
Never. You have to learn leadership. Leadership is another one. You have to learn leadership skills, but all of these things are learnable, are teachable. You just have to align yourself with someone that would teach you foundational pieces, and that you can align eventually and know which phase and stage that you are in. But in a nutshell, it's
nobody does it. Nobody does it by themselves. And if they told you they have, I'm going to just suggest that they might be telling a little porky.
We just might need a little ego boost, you know.
Yeah.
I
mean, you mentioned that. I mean, I just always say it's when we drop the ego, right? That's when also the magic's going to happen. Like, let go of that ego. And like you say, when you go actually inside and you're dropping the ego, this is the ego right up here telling you stories and competing with people. That's just the ego mind. Once we drop that and our true intuitive, I suppose we're all more heart-centered then, it's all from the heart, that's when the real stuff comes up. Right? Far too many egos out there, Elona. Far too many egos.
Yeah, put the ego to sleep. Put the ego to sleep. That's what I say. It's always going to be there. I mean, it helps in some levels, but if it's the main driver, it just
we don't want it taken over. Just tuck it to sleep.
It's a lot of uncertainty. When you come from the heart, you're secure. When the ego speaks, you're just uncertain. You're not very certain about yourself and what you're trying to do. So just put it to sleep and keep growing on the other sides of you, and lead with your heart. Like even in leadership, I always say, lead with your heart. Don't lead with your head. Your head is good to make decisions. You need the logic. You need the strategy. You need it all. But lead with your heart. You always know.
Throughout the day between the ego and the heart, the ego and the heart, the ego and the heart. Have a little dance.
Balance is the key answer for sure.
Yeah, 100. Oh, and this is so funny because me and Elona have never met. Normally, I do have some interaction with my guests, and I had absolutely no clue whatsoever on what Elona was going to talk to you today. And I love it. It's so in alignment with what you do, and love what you're doing. So for you, for the listeners out there, who do you have a specific audience that you love to work with, or who is your ideal client?
Yeah, so I love to work with your audience, coaches, healers, consultants, speakers, people that have a service-based business and are looking to grow that. So that is my main focus and my specialty.
Love that. Cool. And so for the listeners, if you can't see what's going on, Elona's website is Elona Lopari, LopariCoaching.com. Sorry, Elona LopariCoaching.com. And if anybody's actually listening out there and can't see any of the writing or any of your links, how else would they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so I would love to invite them. I'm a big community person, to my Facebook group community, Badass Mission Driven Entrepreneurs.
Can you repeat that? Badass
Mission Driven Entrepreneurs.
Love that. So fantastic. You're badass mission driven entrepreneurs. Awesome. I love what you're doing. And I do think, I mean, it's interesting. I've always had this thought process where, why aren't people having this more holistic approach? People say, you've got to niche down, you've got to be, you've got to be a specialist. In some cases, but you need it all. And I come from, so originally I come from fitness and therapy. I was a sports therapist for 27 years. And I used to, if somebody's come in with this injury, I used to think, well, really, ideally, you could probably see a chiropractor. Maybe I could relax the muscles, then see a chiropractor, then maybe after a bit of acupuncture. And you realize that really, if we had all these modalities, we could serve so much better, because I know that you would benefit from this, and this. And I think it's the same, isn't it, in the business? Like you said, it's not just mindset. And I get where people say, mindset is everything. Well, yeah, but they still need to learn. There's still stuff to do. So there's still strategies and processes that need. So having that combination, so it's not just mindset, it's not just the social media marketing, it's not just your sales process, but everything in one place.
That is what I would tell you is exactly, this is $1 million advice. So package it all under your main brand pillars and understand what your framework is. And that's what your offer is in the market. That's going to be the foundation of how you help people get that transformation so that you are not leading with a specific modality. That's what the problem is in the market right now. Everyone's like, I do this, but that's just like a dot in the big thing. As you probably don't feel satisfied. I also don't feel satisfied because I am the high level person. So I don't feel satisfied just to say I'm a business strategist that helps you grow your business with marketing. I just don't feel sad because I could do so much more than that. So understanding how to align your main brand pillars and then packaging your main offer under that, it's like an umbrella. Here's your brand. You have your main message, your pillars, and then understanding, right, here's your offer underneath, like a little arch. And then your offer brings people through that transformation. And now you articulate that very clearly for your audience. I do it like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's the main problem. Here's the solution. Here's the transformation. You have a business, and you also have satisfied all your journey learnings that you have, learned along the way. And you now are connecting all the dots, and you will never feel like, but I don't want to niche down to a specific thing. I also don't think you need to niche down to a specific segment of people, because I think your message, and if you do it this way, the right people are already going to be attracted to you. You do have to just have an idea of the main characteristics of your audience, but you can do it like that as well. So for all the people that love, no, I don't want to niche, that's what I learned along the way, because I was the same way. I'm like, I want to help everyone, but it's, your messaging, you understand the structure of the business, that's going to attract the right people towards you. So rather than leading with the niche of the audience, you niche down with your personal brand story, your main brand pillars, and then your main offer that speaks about the problem and the solution. Done.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, that is such good advice, because there's, this, and the way I see it is like my audience who know me, I am a little bit all over the place. I can be a little bit scatty. I'm very passionate about what I do, but because I am slightly, possibly ADHD if I ever got tested, not that I'm gonna, but because the way I do things, I can do lots of things, and it can look a real mess as I'm going through it. But as it gets to the edge, when it all comes together, like it all comes together. Whereas other people will be like, I couldn't possibly work like that. They need to do just, I can remember a coach probably at the beginning of the year telling me, no, one thing, your top thing, your 3K off or whatever it is, that's it until you get to wherever. And I can remember thinking, oh, no. I'll get bored. That's not me on purpose. That's not going to work with me. And that's why I think what you're doing is brilliant, because it is about aligning with what's right for you. My way is not the right way for
the entire world. Only for those people that resonate with me and the way I structured it all, because structure is also important. I think I attract a lot of multi-passionate entrepreneurs, and that's always a thing. And I am one as well, which is why I think my corporate experience taught me how to structure, which is so valuable, because now I use a lot of those skills. Because in business, here's the thing, and I'm going to say this because I have to also run, because this is such an amazing conversation. But what happens is in entrepreneurship, you have to create the structure. If you are not naturally good at that, your brain works in creative ways. You might be more of the artist. If you don't have that, you need someone that can help you organize it all. Just like you said, orchestrate. It's like an art. It's like You orchestrate all your journey, your experience, your story, everything, and then you package it with a nice bow, and that is your business. So your message never changes. I keep talking about the same things all over. I'm never all over the place. I'm actually very clear about what I can do. I don't want the niche to limit my capabilities, because I have a lot of this experience, and I feel the more I can help my client, the more valuable I become, the more my business will grow, because my client can come to me and I will have a solution for most of the things that will get in the way that, might stop them from the result that they want to achieve if they come to me. So that's what you would need. You just need the structure of that, but you can be your beautiful self, your artist. You can be the person that has the vision they want to create, but you need the other side to balance you. And corporations, which is why they can grow, because they already have the structure. Like, it's already predictable.
Well, they have their team. They have their team, don't they? Different departments.
Yes.
You can have the same. That's it. Oh, absolutely wonderful to connect with you. I really didn't know how this was going to go. So thank you so much for your time, Elona. And to the rest, I will be back next week with a Coffee with Karen. Bye for now.
Welcome to the Coffee with Karen podcast, a weekly chat show discussing everything from holistic health to current affairs from a mental, physical, and spiritual perspective. Get your weekly cup of positivity with a sprinkling of woo-woo.